A little over a year ago, Subaru introduced their most off-road capable version of the Forester called the Forester Wilderness. It was built on the all-new 6th generation Forester, which meant it had a serious uptick in terms of refinement and capability. However, Subaru is looking to expand the Wilderness family with the introduction of the most powerful and most fuel-efficient version called the Forester Wilderness Hybrid. That's right, Subaru has combined the off-road hardware upgrades that we get with the Wilderness name with the two-motor e-Boxer hybrid system that we find in the regular electrified Forester. So today we're back out here in Calamingos Ranch because we're finally getting a chance to see the all-new 2027 Forester Wilderness Hybrid. So now that we're doing so, let's go ahead and take a detailed first look. So I've literally lost count of how many times I've been to Calamingos Ranch, but we are here in Malibu, California because Subaru is showing off two vehicles. Obviously, we're gonna talk about the Forester Wilderness Hybrid. However, right over there underneath that tarp is Subaru's newest EV that we're gonna do a separate video on. So if you guys wanna see our full details on that, be sure to click in the link in the description below. But coming back to the Forester Wilderness Hybrid, this is a model that I was hoping Subaru was gonna do because when I first had a chance to show you guys the Wilderness Hybrid, I was actually saying it would be nice if they married the hybrid powertrain with all the off-road hardware. So clearly, Subaru has listened to a lot of consumer demand and to a lot of the journalists out there, but this powertrain, you guys should be pretty familiar with it. It's a combination of the Toyota two-motor hybrid system with a 1.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack and Subaru's Boxer four-cylinder 2.5-liter naturally aspirated flat four. So the engine runs on the Atkinson-Miller cycle, which is more efficient. It makes 162 horsepower on its own, but when you add the 118 horsepower from the electric motor, you get a total of 194 horsepower combined, and Subaru, just like Toyota, does not rate the torque figure, the combined torque figure of this motor. It all goes out through an electronic continuously variable transmission. It's technically a Toyota transmission encased within a Subaru housing, and the company wasn't ready to talk about fuel economy yet, but they did promise this will get roughly 25% better efficiency versus the non-hybrid Wilderness, which means it should put us at around 32 miles per gallon combined. That's a little bit less, like 3 mpg less versus the Forester hybrid that gets roughly 35. That's my estimate based on Subaru's claim. It should again deliver best-in-class fuel efficiency and capability by going with the Wilderness Hybrid model. Subaru also says the towing capacity did drop on this model to 1,500 pounds versus 3,500 pounds that you get on the regular Wilderness. And while they didn't talk about the curb weight of this model yet, I would estimate this is probably going to be the heaviest model, coming in at just over 4,000 pounds, but we'll have to wait and see once this vehicle becomes available for us to drive and for it to be available at your local Subaru dealerships. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here, which, as you can see, supported by a prop rod. And let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling because, as you guys can see, it looks identical to the non-hybrid Wilderness version of the car. This particular one that we're showing you is in the Wilderness blue color. It's kind of the halo color. It has this typical Wilderness upgrades here. The larger Subaru hexagonal grille, of course, with an integrated front camera system. You also have, again, a little bit more cladding and some copper accents to kind of show that this is the off-road model. You have their steering adaptive full LED headlights, which look nice with the daytime running light. The turn signal, however, as you can see, is just an incandescent. You do have a unique LED fog light package where it has the 6 hexagonal individual LEDs for the fog lights. It just looks a lot more rugged. And then you can see with the front bumper trim, there's this nice little silver painted piece with some actual skid plates underneath the vehicle. And Subaru says it preserves the 9.3 inches of ground clearance that you get with the regular Wilderness. That's roughly a ½ inch increase versus the standard Forester hybrid. So that again is going to give this the kind of capability that you expect when you see a Subaru Forester with the Wilderness badge. Now, as you move around the side profile, as you can see, it looks practically identical. There's one thing that will let you know that this is the hybrid, which I'll get to in just a moment. First, let me talk about the wheels. I kind of wish Subaru gave this car a unique wheel package for the hybrid Wilderness, but as you can see, it's the same 17-inch matte black wheel design, which kind of has the look of a beadlock capable wheel. It's on a Yokohama Geolander all-terrain tire. It's a relatively skinny tire, 235 by 60 R17. Technically, it's 10 millimeters wider versus the previous generation Wilderness. And again, with that raised suspension, you get that 9.3 inches of ground clearance. No adaptive dampers, however, but I think Subaru did a great job with the cladding on this vehicle. It has, I think, a tasteful amount of cladding with the, of course, the copper badges along the side where it says Forester on the side sill. And then over here, this is your only indication that this is the hybrid model. It has a hybrid badge there that's now engraved into the Wilderness badge, which you'll also find out on the rear. I think that's a tasteful little subtle add-on. to let everybody know this is the fuel sipping model. You can see the mirrors are kind of this like satin gray finish to the mirrors. They have integrated turn signals. However, no 360 camera on this car. That's the thing, is the Wilderness Forester only has that front camera, but no side cameras, which I find to be a little annoying. You do have the standard raised roof rails, which is a nice touch. This will support up to 800 pounds of static weight, so you can easily put a tent up there to carry or to hold up to 3 people if you want. And then you can see that panoramic sunroof also opens up to vent air. It's standard equipment on this model as well, which is a nice touch. Moving over to the rest of the rear profile, you can see the symmetrical all-wheel drive badge here is still in that copper color. And then coming over to the rear again, same basic design as the regular Wilderness model. You have a subtle little spoiler back here with the third brake light. Your rear wiper sits on the bottom of the glass, and then the taillights are an LED combination. The turn signals are an incandescent, which is a little annoying, but it definitely has a clean look to it. And then you can see here the same Wilderness hybrid badge there to let everybody know this is the fuel sipping model. The rear bumper, as you can see, still spells out Subaru at the back. That's a classic Wilderness design theme here that you'll see on other Subaru Wilderness models. And then there's still surprisingly a chrome outlet exhaust tip with just a single pipe, which is a nice touch. And then the spare tire, you're gonna find that inside the vehicle, but underneath here, you're gonna find additional skid plates because again, this is designed to be the more off-road capable version. Now, a foot activated power liftgate is gonna be standard. I believe Subaru made it standard on the hybrid Wilderness. It was technically part of a $2,000 option package on the regular gas only Wilderness. But as you can see, what's nice about the hybrid is the cargo capacity has been preserved. So you have 27.5 cubic feet of storage space, which is unchanged from the gas only model. If you look underneath the floor here, it looks like actually this version. So I actually lied. There is no spare, it looks like, on this model because the battery pack lives underneath here. So that is the sacrifice that you make. And that could be a problem for those of you who tend to go further off the beaten path. You want that additional spare tire, but that's where the battery is going to live. If you fold down the back seat, as you can see here, this vehicle will expand the cargo to around 69.5 cubic feet of space. So again, it still has the same cargo flexibility. And I'll go ahead and fold it down so you can see. It creates basically almost a completely flat load floor. And there's really nice how there's handles to let you do that so you don't have to reach in. But in general, this is going to be perfect if you guys want to like put a bed in here. You can sleep inside the vehicle. But for owners who want that security of a spare tire, you may want to consider adding that as a dealer accessory. Now, moving inside the new Forester Wilderness Hybrid, as you guys can see, just like the regular Wilderness model, you have the same gray and black two-tone combination for these StarTech seats, which are going to be standard. These seats are also heated. You have a 10-way power adjustable driver's seat. The passenger seat is just a manual. If you're looking for ventilated seats, this is where Subaru will force you to go up to the touring trim if you want that. Sadly, unlike the Outback Wilderness, which offers ventilated seats and Napa leather, the Forester Wilderness kind of keeps the StarTechs without the heat and cooling function, but you do still have a heated seat, and Subaru also added a heated steering wheel for this model. Now, I'm not entirely sure if the heated steering wheel is included on the gas-only version of the Wilderness, but I just know that the 2026 model year didn't actually have the heated steering wheel, so it's great to see Subaru add that feature. In terms of the door panel materials, as you can see, it's the same materials where it's a soft touch injection molded plastic. You have that same StarTech with the contrast stitching, the Wilderness badge here. This is slightly padded, although it would be nice if this was stitched in leather, but it feels pretty durable. Window controls there, one touch up down for the front. The rears are not one touch, and then it's all hard touch plastic here. The Harman Kardon stereo is typically an upcharge on the regular Wilderness, but we don't have the final pricing yet, whether this is going to be part of an option package or if Subaru just decided to make it standard. Now, getting inside the vehicle with its 9.3 inches of ground clearance, you have that easy step-in height. Shutting the door, it has that same solid sounding thunk, and then all Wilderness hybrid models come standard with Subaru's latest intelligent access key. Of course, there's no remote start from the fob, but it is a nice looking key that has the typical buttons here for lock, unlock, and you can also do the power liftgate and the panic function. Now, I'm not going to turn the car on, but I am just going to put it in accessory mode so I can show you guys the center screen. But as you can see, the rest of this cabin looks identical. All the Wilderness hybrid models come with the fully digital 12.3-inch instrument cluster, which is also slightly customizable. And then sadly, this still has Subaru's older Starlink head unit. So this is the standard 11.6-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There are some actual buttons here to control some functions like the volume and tuning knob, and then you can adjust your temperature, but the main temperature stuff is located in the screen here. And this software, I have to say, is still a little laggy and slow. I really want to see Subaru do a refresh on this interior and give us the new system from the Outback, but that may not come until Subaru decides to do a full refresh on the Forester in the coming years. But in terms of the rest of the materials, you can see this upper portion has a slightly padded soft touch injection molded plastic. This lower area here, you can see, has this interesting hexagonal texture with this really unique trim on the Wilderness model, which kind of reminds me of the Mercedes three-pointed star, where it's kind of like a gloss black with the copper accents. You have a wireless phone charging pad here, two USB charging ports, the transmission selector for the eCVT, And then you also have a view button here where you can bring up the front camera system. I don't have the car on, so it won't pull it up. I also love how Subaru resisted the urge to put piano black plastic here. Instead, you have this kind of dull finish for this gray painted plastic, which will be a little bit more durable in my opinion. Nice padded center console. You can see, open that up. It delivers a pretty decent storage area for covered stuff. You have another power outlet here, of course. And then the glove box, you can see, is a pretty big glove box. It's a bin style. It's damped but not lined with felt. And then this passenger seat, as you saw, is also a manual adjustable. The sunroof opens up a fairly large amount. It actually goes halfway into the back seat, which is a nice touch. This is, I think, the only Subaru model that actually has a panoramic sunroof, although technically the Ascent also has it as well. There's a woven material here, no ambient lighting, but overall, aside from just the heated steering wheel from the 2026 model that I tested recently, this interior is practically identical. But just keep in mind, if you are looking for more of the luxury touches like ventilated seats, memory seats, you have to go up to the touring trim. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat area. I can show you guys what that space is like. Now, again, the legroom back here is pretty generous. Subaru says you have around 39.5 inches of legroom, which is near best in class. These seats, again, earlier we showed you how they folded down to reveal a near flat floor, which is nice. And then in terms of the seats themselves, they don't offer a recline function, nor do they slide forward and back, so keep that in mind. As I get back here, you can see this is basically my driving position as I shut the door. With that 39.5 inches of legroom, this is definitely a comfortable experience. The floor is not completely flat here for the middle passenger, but you do still have rear seat air vents back here, heated seats with 2 levels of heat, USB A and C charging ports. You have 2 levels of storage compartments in each of the front seat backs. Hard-touch plastic materials back here, so it was downgraded, but it's more padded where you'd rest your elbow. And the window controls have that high quality feel. There's a ton of headroom space also. I have maybe like 3-4 inches of additional clearance at 5'7". And then you can see there's an armrest that folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. So just like the regular Forester hybrid and wilderness models that are gas, this preserves that, functional back seat, where this gives it some of the best interior space you're going to find in its class. Now, the Forester Wilderness trim level roughly accounts for nearly 20% of the total sales mix for Subaru. And with the addition of this all-new Forester Wilderness Hybrid, I wouldn't be surprised to see that take rate increase to maybe 25–30%, because the Wilderness package has always been a very appealing package on every Subaru model. In fact, the Crosstrek Wilderness is definitely one of my favorite vehicles. So after finally seeing the new Forester Wilderness Hybrid in the sheet metal, I have to say this is about what I expected, but it's also the right change that Subaru needed to make, because with the addition of that Boxer, or that e-Boxer 2-motor hybrid powertrain, this is now going to get better fuel efficiency. Again, Subaru claims 25% better fuel efficiency, nearly 200 horsepower under the hood. I expect this car to have a 0 to 60 time of under 8 seconds, which the current model I recently tested took around 8.3 seconds. The last hybrid model that I tested took 7.9 seconds. So this should be kind of right in that under 8-second range, which will be nice. And it's also nice how Subaru has preserved the all-wheel drive system. This still has a mechanical linkage between the engine and the rear drive system. So it's a full, or for the rear drive axle, so it's a full-time all-wheel drive system with their dual function X mode. So none of that software and hardware stuff has been lost by going to the hybrid model. And I think that's going to be a great thing for those of you who, again, want to take your Forester Wilderness Hybrid off the beaten path. Now, if you're interested in getting your hands on this Forester Wilderness Hybrid, you're going to have to wait toward the end of this year, because this is a 2027 model year. And of course, Subaru wasn't ready to talk about pricing, but let's go ahead and try and speculate here, because the regular Forester Wilderness Hybrid has a starting price, or I'm sorry, the regular Forester Wilderness has a starting price of $38,365. It's roughly in between the price of like a sport and a limited trim in the Forester family. I would expect this model to roughly have a $1,500 increase in price, and that's based on what Subaru charges for the regular Forester Hybrid compared to a gas equivalent, which would mean if you add in that package that this car is likely to kind of come standard with for around $2,200 extra, I would say this model is going to probably top out at around $45,000, and that's because the gas version is around $43,000. So between $1,500 to $2,000 extra seems like a worthy upcharge, but only time will tell. As we get closer to the on-sale date, Subaru will, of course, give us full pricing details. We'll likely get a chance to drive this vehicle, but let me know in the comment section below if you guys would go for the hybrid version or if you'd stick with the gas version of the car. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full detailed overview on this brand new, first ever 2027 Subaru Forester Wilderness Hybrid. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.